5-0.
3 million and more.
Yeah, yeah. You know, most of them are occurring in places that, normal beds. I mean, they're just up on, K2 or, in the Multora or, but the point is what he was researching is how has the avalanche frequency and size changed over 50 years across this broad area. And what he found was there is some differences between the mountain ranges. But for us here in the Karakoram, he was finding some mimics what the Swiss were finding, which is we're seeing less snow, less avalanches, but the avalanches that are occurring are bigger. And so from a rescue standpoint, bigger avalanches are bad. Because bigger avalanches are what take out villages and hit roads, and we'd much rather have many small avalanches than one big one. And so, so that's how climate change is affecting us. What he said was interesting as a side note. He said on the eastern Himalaya, more near Bhutan, they were actually, their season kind of was extending. It was like the opposite was happening. Like they were seeing even more snow, and their season is basically not changed or maybe even got a little longer, so who knows why, but there's some change there. But for us, we're seeing the negative effects of that. Now, he also, as part of his research, he identified which villages in each country saw the most avalanches and the biggest avalanches. And there's a list, and it's not published yet. There's us to do some more work on it. But soon, like this winter, coming winter, we should have a list of what are the top 30 villages that have been just hit by avalanches in the last 50 years, because we've done some of this as Aka, talking to the villagers, trying to figure it out, but he's going to be able to at least put a number to it and say, this village, the area of this village, they've been hit the most. And then we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing there? Is it at our forecast area? Is it something we can do to help? Is it, and so this will help determine where we want to put our resources. So it's pretty fascinating. Okay, so for forecasting, I want to know where the avalanche is happening, how big are they, what's the frequency, how often are we seeing these avalanche cycles. And this is a map that I make every winter. Each one of these blue squares is an avalanche, or a series of avalanches. And so when I talk to Anila here in Gilgit, or Ozma in Chitral, or the other countries, and they tell me okay, yesterday there was an avalanche at the road in the spot, I get the GPS coordinates, no one was injured, or no cars were hit, or whatever. I then make an avalanche on my map, and then I record all the information that we know, it happened in the last 24 hours, it was a person, it was a slab avalanche, it was big enough where it could have buried a person, no animals died, but one person died in Tajikistan, and then I just make little notes how did I get this information? Who told me this? And so I'm just building a bit of a database. Now, we can see here at the bottom, each one of those circles, those dots represent an avalanche. And so we can see, there's a few here during a storm beginning of January. This is from this past winter. And then over here between 24th of February to through 10th of March, it was pretty active. And what we say is avalanches typically they're like fish in that they run in schools. If you're seeing 1 and 2 You're probably gonna start seeing a lot more than that, because it's rare that just like one happens and then nothing. Because the conditions are the same around a big area, so then we can plot and go, oh yeah, this is a pretty big sizable spot. These orange dots are the WMPs. That's where our WMPs are located. Let's see here. Now in the summer, I help forecast for some floods, and I use AI tools are becoming incredibly powerful. This is a flood hub by Google, and this is purely AI driven, and it gives every day the odds, they give it a rating as to what they think is gonna happen with waterways, with individual creeks and rivers. And I started using it last year. It seems reasonably accurate. I mean, it's hard to know exactly, how accurate it is, but again, we operate in an area where we are data starved. Like, we do not have much data. We don't have a lot of weather data, we don't have a lot of river data, we just don't have data around here. And so when we're data starved, something like this AI tool can really help us.
So this is like, are this available on ChatGPT?
It's free. No, this is just go to Google. Just.
Flood?
What?
It is flood hub, sir?
Yeah, it's up. This is every day. Yeah, just Google Flood Hub. It'll come up.
Sir, we can forecasting through the GIS or
This one?
yeah.
No.
It is a
No.
artificial intelligence.
It's
It's
Yeah,
available
it's not
on
using
Google.
GIS.
No,
I forget what the
just
underlying
on
map is.
GIS.
Oh.
But yeah, go there and play around. It's free. You just go mess around with it. AI weather forecasting is going to become, and I think in the next 5 years, it's going to change everything, and this is something I'm watching closely. There is AI weather forecasting that's happening. It's not entirely great. It's doing a pretty good job, but it's super expensive. And so it's kind of not something we can really look at yet, but AI weather forecasting it's pretty amazing what they're doing, Because remember, in order to do AI, you need data. Like, you need so much data. And that's why we can't use AI yet. We can't be like, hey, let's take all these avalanches and we'll have like AI tell us like what's happening, or take the WMP data and use it. It's too small. The data sets are just tiny. This needs like hundreds of thousands of data points in order to make this stuff work. But anyway, this is coming. This is really exciting. These AI tools that are coming out for us to be able to use. Now, data analysis, this is actually, I think, Afghanistan and Tajikistan. These are avalanches that occurred. And we can get satellite data, and there are companies that will look at it, kind of like Arno did, to tell us when avalanches happened. Now, it's all looking in the rear view mirror. It all is old information. Like this, the closest I could get would be a week before. And you think, well, what does that matter? For prediction. But it matters because when I hear there's been avalanches, like if you call and you say, hey, Naltar slid, there was a big avalanche up in Naltar. My first question, once I find out, like, okay, how big was it? Like, well, where else did it avalanche? It's just Naltar. Because that's all you heard about. Our observational bias is what we see. We're like, oh, Naltar. Maybe there's no one on the other side of the mountain. There's no one even reported anything. And so I want to know, was there an avalanche cycle? Was there like hundreds of avalanches, but only 2 got reported? Or, I don't know. Look at the terrain around here. There's so much terrain where people are living where maybe, we're not going to hear about it for a while. It's certainly the case in Afghanistan. So anyway, the mapping like this can help me see whether or not there was an extensive avalanche cycle or if it was just a small one. Because if an avalanche cycle was small, like, okay, one village only got it or 1 or 2, And then now I'm thinking like, wow, okay, when the next storm comes, there's still a lot of unstable slopes out there that can avalanche. Versus knowing that, oh, most of them avalanched already. You know, over half the slopes already avalanched, so I'm not as worried for the second time that it happens. These are more of these. Again, this is Afghanistan, Tajikistan. These little red marks are where